Jack, no, don't let go. Jack, don't let go, Jack. Hang on. Stay, Jack. Stay. I won't leave. This club means everything to me. I'm gonna hang on to this random piece of wood in the middle of the ocean as long as it takes. You have my word. On second thought, Jack, you can leave. Actually, I'm gonna need that. Oh, thank you. Please. Goodbye. Paint me like one of your French girls. And that's just one of the ways that you can get close with your players on the team dynamics screen. But that is not what we are doing here today. Today, we are going to talk about a very traumatic event that happened on stream. And Kevin Barrientos has had his sale accepted. Doesn't leave the club for a little while, but still. We've done a deal, 38 million. Barrientos will go to Real Sociedad and clear the way for our talented young center backs. This, of course, happened on the Twitch save. The link is in the description. You should come hang out. It's lit, as the kids would say, but there's also a live channel. You can check that out, too. It's got episodes of each stream, so you can follow along with the save or catch up or whatever you want to do. Cool. Out of the camera. We sold the all-time appearance leader for our club. We sold him when he wanted to sign a new contract and when he was still good enough to be, if not a full-time first-team player, but a most of the time first-team player for our side. Why do we do that? Why is it the right decision? Well, and of course, how is that going to help you too? That's why you're here, right? How is it going to apply to your saves and everything? You know, we're going to talk about all that. It's all floating around in here all the time and on all these Google Docs I use to script things. The secret's out. But I'm very good at keeping that secret hidden. You can't get to my Google Docs because I use NordVPN. That's right, NordVPN is a huge sponsor of this channel. And not only are we very grateful for that, we have been able to acquire a deal that can make you a very wealthy individual. If you consider saved money, earned money, you can get 73% off of a 2-year plan. And you also get 4 months free using code Zealand. You don't know what a VPN is? It protects your internet use. When you use the internet and you connect to the internet straight from where you are, you're much more accessible to people that wish you harm on the internet. But if you use NordVPN, you're routing your traffic through servers in a different country, which makes you very hard to catch. Kind of like PSG trying to steal your wonderkids. It's really nothing like that. That's just about to happen to me again, and the freaking game is gonna drive me up a wall. You can connect anywhere from Norway to Costa Rica. Guess I don't really need to change for that one. And this isn't just a defensive measure. If you're using NordVPN to make sure you stay safe, you might as well use it in an area that might be showing your favorite shows. Let's say you wanted to watch that one highlight on Twitter that you can't access from where you are right now. We'll just hook up to NordVPN. It's as easy as 1, 2, boom. And I can watch that Twitter video. Something's on Netflix in England. Boom. You got it. What's the UK, technically? Kind of. Why can they not just make it simple? Anyways, NordVPN is awesome. Code Zealand, link down in the description. It's less than $4 a month. You spend that on a water at a gas station. Stay safe on the internet instead. And safety is the reason we're doing all of this, because the rest of this video is designed to keep you safe on your balance sheet. It was a very difficult decision. Kevin Barrientos is one of those players you just have this magnetic affection for. He was signed on a free 6 years ago. He was signed on a free from an amateur level Colombian team. It was one of the most no-brain decisions we ever made. First season in Liga NOS, he joins the team, lays down at least a 7.15 every season as a regular starter from the moment he stepped in from Carlos Sarmiento. It was such a small club that the fact that I sold him for $38 million and then ended up giving like $3 million of that to them. They had some sort of like 5% sell-on from the free transfer as part of international law, and I'm pretty sure I just paid their club budget for a decade. It was like $2 to $3 million. And as you can see from the star rating, he's still somebody that is a squad player. And as you saw from last season, a season in which we made the Champions League quarterfinals and matches in which he started, and from the beginning of this season where he started 2 of the first 4 league matches as we've just rotated a little bit, he was still a very regular feature in the first team. But there were 3 contributing factors to why I sold him, and 3 things that you need to consider before you offer somebody a new contract, because that is what motivated this sale in this window. Kevin Barrientos' contract was due up in 2 years. Now, as I do, I try and pay a lot of attention to contract negotiations right up here. You know, I'm all about the info, the offers, all that nonsense, okay? I am all in there all the time. Your brain should start to think about moves 2 years out. 2 years is the line. Once you get inside 2 years, if a player gets unsettled, you probably, or at least possibly, not going to be able to unsettle them by the time they get to those final 6 months where they can receive offers from anybody in the world. Mbappe. So we made our initial advance to Barrientos. We went like, hey, Kevin, we'd like to give you a new contract. Now, Kevin came back with us not once, but on 2 separate occasions and said, well, I want to be a star player. And then I said, well, how about squad player? Star player locked. Okay, so I came back the second time and he went, I want to be a star player. Okay. I said, how about regular starter? He said, locked, star player. At this point, we have an issue because if you don't know what I'm talking about the player playing time guarantee. So you go to overview happiness, you can see it on every player. I just accidentally sent him a leadership course, which is funny. Didn't mean to do that. Won't be saving. Or if you go to squad, you can go to contracts and it'll all pull up here your kind of agreed playing time. He wants to be a star player. And when you're a star player, every time you're fully fit, they're expecting to play. And that's just not something I felt like I could promise, right? Even though he was somebody that really contributed to the team in a lot of ways. He offered experience. He's a team leader in the hierarchy. And he's somebody that I would have trusted to be a starting player in probably half my games for the upcoming season if he was on the team under a new contract. Star player means that if I played him the amount that I wanted to, well, he would have ended up getting mad. You can track how close they are to getting mad by going to Dynamics Happiness, and you can look at the playing time. You can find concerns, players that are concerned about their playing time. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but this is your advanced warning. Eventually, it will turn into a they come to you, you try and get your captain or other high influential players to talk them out of it. You can, of course, right-click anyone, including Barrientos at the moment, and go to something called Teammate Happiness, and you can attempt to have somebody talk them out of it. I have no unhappy teammates at all because we are Eden. We live in biblical Eden. Don't believe me? Very good. It's honest. That's lower than I thought it was. If Kevin wants to be a star player, it's not something I feel like I can give it to him. So that leads us to the second thing. Why can't I have him a star player anymore when he has been a star player the last couple of years? When you're playing the 2-year game, you've got to think 2 years into the future. If I give Kevin Barrientos a star contract, I'm going to have to play him like a star. He's going to soak up 75-80% of the minutes I have to offer at my left center back position. That is going to take away incredibly valuable developmental time for a couple of players. One being Bakary Dindane, somebody who I believe will one day surpass Kevin Barrientos in quality, even though he's not quite there yet. And the other being the model citizen. We may continue. Sebastian Duarte, who also has great potential. These two guys are going to need to play games for my club in order to develop into starting players for my club. And out of my 2 center backs, Barrientos was the worst of the 2 because Thomas Isgren cemented the other spot as a player of more quality and somehow less playing time requests. Barrientos was also asking for top dollar relative to my team, over $3 million. And before you freak out, it's per year. I'm American, that's just the way that we play. So he wants the playing time that we gave him before. He's not willing to recognize the fact that the team has improved around him and take a lower playing time. Bakary Dindane and Duarte, they would not be able to play the amount of time they needed if everybody stayed at the club. I would have to loan them out and essentially hold them back another year, another 2 years, another 3 years, and Barrientos would be the line. I think we can push past that. And so portion number 2 saying we got a couple of guys that are ready to kind of take hold this season. It might be time for Kevin to go. The third consideration is the money. I mean, goodness gracious me. Relative money. If you play Football Manager the way that I so often play it, which is you're building a club up over certain times, if you make the Champions League group stage, that is like a line in the sand, right? And so on one side of the line, we've got flowers and ponies and happy times and wages under $1 million a year. And on the other side, after the group stage, it's fire, tornadoes, and big wages. Barrientos signed his most recent contract before we got into the Champions League group stage most recently. And a couple of other key guys that we actually sold in the window. Mr. Chinese persuasion himself, He Shin, signed a deal for $300,000 a year that ran through 2033. That was before we started playing in Champions League group stages. If we gave him a new contract, we were going to have to double that by 4 or 5 times, put him over $1 million a year, have him locked in, and he wouldn't be a full first team player. And so We sold him. Ka-ching! So the reason I ended up selling Barrientos, the man who has more appearances for beloved ODFC than anyone else, is squad roll too high. Why? Because number 2, we got people to fill the position that would be stagnated by him staying. And then number 3, it was a big pay raise that we didn't think he deserved. He did not deserve to be the highest paid player on the team, as much as we loved him. And so 2 years out, we knew that that was all the case, and it was probably a good idea to sell him. Because if you try and do that the summer before the contract expires, well, it's much harder to get true value because you kind of have to take whatever you can get. So if you get to that following January, they can sign with anybody for free, and you don't want that. A last piece of advice for a way to apply all of this. At the beginning of each season, draw some sort of timeline, whether it's mentally or literally physically, or you just like open your Google Docs and decide, or you open like your Google Sheets perhaps, and you just say like Barrientos, and then you can just copy this and you say, okay, we've got Barrientos for 3 more years or whatever. And you do this with each first team player, and then you have a perfect idea of how long that player is going to be there, when you want to give them their payday, and that sort of thing. Visualizing it can often help. And as stupid as you might feel doing this sort of stuff around your FM save, this is the game that we love. It's hard. It requires a lot of thinking, and as such, it's very rewarding. So if you want to do this, don't be ashamed of it. It's actually very helpful. I'll see you in another video. I hope I'm having a great time in Alaska. I really do, because it's that or I've been eaten by a bear. So